Welcome to Vape Radio, your source for everything you wanted to know about the business of vaping. Whether you're a brick-and-mortar location, developer of e-liquids, online marketer, or anything else in the vape space, learn from the first and the largest educational providers in the industry. I'm your host and founder of VapeMentors, Norm Bauer, and if you'd like to know more about what we do or to catch up on any one of our archive of 50, that's right, 50 past shows, visit us at VapeMentors.com. The show you're about to hear is show number 51, and you know what? We've crossed over the first 50, and we're heading towards our next 50, and we look to be at 100 sometimes by the end of the year. The latest stats, we have about 400,000 downloads since we began not quite a year ago, and about 60,000 monthly downloads. So again, thank you all for listening and for all the wonderful comments that you have. I'm going to dig right into some things that is not fluff and it's not frivolous, but it's very, very important. So please pay attention to some of the things I'm about to share with you, because I'm going to give you an update about the industry itself. Whether you are a brick and mortar or e-liquid manufacturer or any other part of the industry, or even if you're a consumer looking out from the outside trying to figure out how to get in or where to get in, you need to understand this industry is very dynamic, and the one thing that you can always bank on is it'll always be changing. A little preview of my article for Vape Magazine in May is about the crisis. I'm not overstating that, guys. It's a crisis that's going on right now. It's not in your neighborhood or your state, and it's not even here in the United States, but it could be a factor of what is going to be happening in the future, and it's happening in Europe, and it is not pretty at all. So I have a relationship with Umberto Riccoti. He is the CEO of Puff, which is one of the major manufacturers based in Italy. They are the largest franchisers in the world, by the way. At one time, they had about 300 brick-and-mortar locations. Well, let me tell you what's happened since January 1. Now, this is in Italy only, but is also an indicator of what's happening in other European countries. The government of Italy took it upon themselves to put in a tax, and it's €4.50 per 10 milliliter of e-liquid. I know that doesn't mean anything to you, but let me put that in perspective, because I had to get it put into my perspective. If you take a $28 bottle of e-liquid, which would probably be a 30 millimeter size, that now is jumped up 42% to $42. I'm sorry, not 42%. It's basically jumped up 66% to $42. So you have a bottle of e-liquid that went from $28 to $42. Those are in euro dollars, but it's almost a one-to-one equivalent. So you're looking at a very, very significant increase. And you know what? Italy is a petri dish. It's a beta test for much of what's happening in the continent. And so if you look at a 66% increase in e-liquid, what is that going to do to our marketplace? So let's move a couple hundred miles in another direction. Let's go to Portugal. Portugal, they didn't put on a 4.5 euro tax. They put on a 6 euro tax per 10 milliliters. Korea also putting on taxes. And you know what's happening is that in Korea, they are selling all e-liquids at zero nicotine, and then selling the nicotine at crazy prices. I mean, insane prices. First off, that is a very dangerous move, because whether you know it or not, but pure nicotine is a very hazardous material, not to be trifled with, certainly not by an amateur. So the Puff chain, they went from about 300 stores to 200 stores. And, you know, when you hear something like that, you have a knee-jerk reaction. You think, oh, my God, what's happening to that business? Well, you know what? It's not just that business. It is the business itself of being a brick-and-mortar. Spain, and I mentioned this before on a previous show, they went from about 3,000 vape shops, which we acknowledge is probably too high, to less than 300. And again, in the country of Spain, Puff went from 180 stores to 30. So, guys, you're looking at about an 80 to 90 drop in brick-and-mortar locations in a couple of different European countries. So the question is this a prognosticator of what is going to be happening in the United States? Personally, I don't believe it is, but it is triggering some danger side. So what ends up happening when things like this go on? It can be summed up in one word. That word is smuggling. So what you have is you have a lot of people who are now smuggling e-liquid into these countries to circumvent the taxation. And this is almost the opposite of the illegal drug market that we have now seen going legal. You know, for years people have said that we should legalize marijuana and start taxing and so forth and so on. So it's going in that direction. But you know what? We have had an illegal drug market in this country for centuries. We have an underground market that goes on and on and on and on. So what's happening here is that these legislators, in their wisdom, are actually forcing people to develop an underground economy. And I will guarantee you that you will see that in all these countries with these usurious taxes, and you will also see it here in the United States if things go that direction. So let's leave the continent. Let's come on back to the good old U.S. and share with you an event that's going to be coming up in April. You might be hearing this in April, and it's called the National Association for Tobacco Outlets. It's going to be in Las Vegas. I'm going to be there on the 22nd and 23rd of April. And what's interesting about NATO, NATO has been the domain of the tobacco industry. They started in 2001, and over the last several years, they have seen vaping become very significant in this industry and certainly at this event. So what a difference a year makes. And you're going to hear in the interview coming up in the next show, we interviewed Greg Martin, who is the trade show director, and he talked about Google Trends and how suddenly the trends are just going astronomically ballistic in a forward direction. That's show number 53, which is immediately going to be following. So if, in fact, you are near or can get to NATO, this is for trade people only. So if you are a consumer and if you are not in the industry, I apologize, you are not able to attend. But if you have a vape shop, if you have an e-liquid company, if you have any type of industry with a business card that shows that you are part of the vape space, you absolutely are able to come. And they're going to have some pretty amazing education. For those of you who listen to the show on a regular basis, you know that education is very, very significant in my world, and I like being a teacher as well as being a student. So the NATO events probably have the best panelists and speakers of any national event anywhere. Mitch Zeller is going to be a keynote speaker, and if you don't know who that is, look up Mitch Zeller because he is very, very significant in the industry, and he's going to be on a panel that's going to be moderated by Bonnie Herzog, also a major, major thought leader in the industry. She is with Wells Fargo Financial. So there's going to be a lot of really amazing info there. You can be sure that I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be taking audio, and I'm going to be reporting it back to you in future shows, and I'm going to be interviewing like a fiend because this is one of the best places for me to get access to some of the very significant players in the industry. I want to talk about media. And, you know, we complain about the legislators, both the local, state, and certainly the FDA, as being challenging to work with, but media, and unfortunately I'm part of media, they're really a bunch of idiots. And so what brought this to light is that where I am here in Orange County, California, there was a situation where an e-cigarette actually blew up in a guy's face, caused a fire, did a little bit of cosmetic damage to him, but nothing important. This made the national wire. And so suddenly everywhere people are talking about, you know, e-cigarettes blowing up. And as we've talked about in the past, anything that has an electrical battery in it is prone to a fire or a short and what have you, whether it be a cell phone or, you know, anything that's run by batteries, you know, which is almost everything. So what happened is that we did a little bit of an investigation with a shop that I know of here in Orange County. And they went to the guy's Facebook page and they looked at some past postings. And you know what caused the fire? User error. This was not anything defective. This was a guy who basically put together components in a very unsafe way without having any type of insulation between the battery and the mod itself. And so what ended up happening? It caused a short. Now, you're never going to hear that side of it, of course, but I have sent that information over to CASA and also to SFATA because we think that we should be aggressive about defending the industry from idiots like this who unfortunately are giving the business a bad name. I want to talk to you about our Vape You 6 Pillars to Vape Space Success program. Our first course is now done, and we're going to be offering the archives starting by the time you hear this, so you can purchase any one of the 6 courses for $67, or you can get the entire set for $347. And again, it's going to include the presentations, the handouts, the Q&As, and we have a very, very esteemed panel of instructors here. We've got Grim Green, we've got Michael Gouache, we've got Azim Chowdhury, we've got Gregory Connolly. We've got some pretty major people that are involved in Vape You, the first course. And also, by the time you hear this, we're going to be launching our second program. It's called Vape You 6 Pillars to Mastering the E-Liquid Market. Who is this for? Well, if you have an e-liquid company, and I know that there's a lot of you out there that do, this is a great way for you to really be able to separate yourself from everyone else. And I'm just going to read through the 6 different chapters that we have. Chapter 1 is about business plans, models, and strategies. Number 2 is eLiquid product development. Number 3 is legal challenges in the eLiquid market, and you better pay attention to that one. 4 is branding and competitive positioning. Then we have customer acquisition, retention, and service. And then last but not least, social media and PR. And then we follow it all up with a bonus mastermind, which brings everyone together to share all their thoughts and what have you. So if you have an interest in developing a line of eLiquid, first off, I want you to know that we have a resource page that's active, and you can develop your own line with as little as a 100 bottle minimum. So if you have a shop and you want to create your own line of e-liquids, please get a hold of us or go to our resource page at VapeMentors.com/resources. On there, we also have Craft Vapery, which we're also distributing their artist collection. We also have insurance through what we think is the best company out there to get your liability insurance to protect yourself. We have wholesalers and we have merchant accounts as well. So we've got a whole list of different services that are now available through our site, which is VapeMentors.com. Also want to remind you that we are looking for competitors to compete in the Vape Shop of the Month contest. Are you crushing it in the vape space? You know what? We're going to be reviewing, posting, and helping shops nationwide, and going to give you exposure through this show as well as Vape Magazine. And if you listen to the last one we did, which is show number 50, you will hear our interview with Jason Hambrick with Speakeasy Vaporium down in Amelia Island, Florida. And he is our first Vape Shop of the Month, so we would love to talk to you and tell us why you think that you should be one of the Vape Shops of the Month, or if you think that you are wanting to become more significant, more proficient, we'll help you through that as well. I want to talk to you about Bonnie Herzog, who I mentioned a few minutes ago. Bonnie is a great financial analyst, and she follows the industry, and she reports on not just this industry, but also tobacco, soft drinks, all the things that you find in a convenience store. And so what's happening here is that for 15 consecutive periods, we're talking about a pretty significant amount of time, guys, the sale of e-cigarettes has been falling. Well, you can interpret that however you want, and what they really feel is that it is a sign of things to come, because a lot of people who go from the combustibles, the analogs, to the digitals, the acceptance rate, the buy-in rate for longevity is not that great. But what is underrepresented in their numbers is the VTM market. That's the vapor, tank, and mod market. Most of you who are listening to the show right now are probably there. You probably have a brick and mortar, an e-liquid company. You are probably somewhere in the VTM arena. And so they continue to stand by their reports and their predictions, and they think that the vapor consumption market could surpass combustible cigarettes in the next decade by 2025. So imagine that you could get in your little DeLorean time machine and go forward 10 years, and you're going to see the vaping, e-cigarette, VTM market is going to be as significant as the tobacco market. Boy, I'll tell you, man, if we had that time machine, we could all be multimillionaires, because the question is that how do you capitalize on that? They estimate that by 2008, you're going to see an industry that's going to almost triple. Right now, it's about $3.5 billion, and it's going to go up to about $10 billion in 2008. So, you know what, guys? There is a lot of stuff going on, and our job here, our mission, our passion, and our promise to you is that we are going to deliver to you all this information that you need so that you can become, vapreneurs, which is what we term those of you who are, doing really, really amazing things in the vaping space. Also, I want to introduce to you a brand new sponsor for the show, and this particular gentleman contacted me with a really, really unique line, and so I'm always looking for unique people to offer their products, and so I want to introduce you to Daily Displays. And we say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and vaping is, of course, visually stimulating. The top e-liquid brands stand out with attractive names, descriptions, and pictures, but that does no good if no one can see them in your shop. As I said, we like unique sponsors with unique solutions, and Daily Displays creates visually stunning display cases for e-liquids and other products. They're all U.S.-made, 50% thicker than imports, and available in 48 hours for standard or just 2 weeks for custom work. So put your best products in front of your customers and catch their attention with sleek, clear acrylic, or choose a bold, fun fluorescent color and make your products really stand out. Daly's has stand-ups and wall displays for all your vaping products, so visit Daly, that's DALEY displays.com, and we connected with them and offer a couple of real significant advantages for you to call them. If you enter promo code Vape Radio, you're going to get a free, what they call a Try It Center, which hold tanks for sampling, tips, and a sign holder. You'll also get free shipping on all orders over $250 or add promo code RADIO for an additional 10%. So the bottom line is if you are looking to really make some of your products stand out, we want you to visit dailydisplays.com. You can contact us here at Vape Radio. We'll introduce you to their team of pros, so visit the VapeMentors resource page. And you know what? We're coming up to the end of section number 1. I'm going to read my brand new outro for you, and here's the way it goes. Hello, Vapreneurs. Do not go away. You're listening to Vape Radio, the #1 worldwide source for updated information streamed straight to your phone and tablet. Be part of our growing community of Vape Masters and head over to VapeMentors.com to learn more, catch up on our past shows, or learn how to grow or start your vape space business. Don't go away. We're going to be right back.